Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second panel of the night. We will be hearing about the movie Shrek and kind of some of the fun behind-the-scenes secrets, and I don't even know. I'm excited to find out what these guys have to say about Shrek. But before we get there, my name is Marley, and I am part of the Cutscenes and Cupcakes podcast, as well as the Stolen Droids podcast. And here for Utah Remote Con, we are raising money for JDRF, which is Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. And you can do that at givebutter.com/Utah Remote Con 2. The link is down here below my face, as well as it's on our social media. It's on the description of this video. So make sure you go on and donate. And there's also, if you want to get raffle tickets, we are giving away prizes. Let's see, the prize for this panel, we are doing, there's this awesome artist named Noob Mama. She does like comics and fun like little D&D things. She is offering a commission coupon and also a cute pouch from Gypsy Sage Design. We will announce the winner of the raffle at the end of the panel. So make sure there is still time if you want to donate and try to win some of the raffle prizes. There is still time to do that. Let's see. I think that is it. So I'm going to turn the time over to the hosts of It Was a Shit Show podcast. So we've got Ian, Rae, and Clint here. So I will turn the time over to you guys.
Thank you, Marley. Hello, everyone. My name's Ian, and I'm joined by Clint.
Hello.
And Rae.
Good morrow.
Hello. I haven't seen you guys for quite a while. We haven't done an episode in a little bit.
It's been a minute, yeah.
Since we talked about the Snyder Cut for 1,000 years.
Yeah, pretty much.
And we're not done. We're not
done. We're not done.
You guys, it's too much.
So welcome to a live episode of It Was a Shit Show with Utah Remote Con. Thank you for having us. If you haven't listened to Shit Show before, we are a YouTube podcast series that discusses some of your favorite movies or TV shows and why they were such a nightmare to make. And it could be that it took years to get made, the directors were fired, difficult actors, whatever. Sometimes the movies turn out great, other times not. Today we're going to talk about Shrek for its 20th anniversary. Oh my God, it's 20 years old.
Yeah.
Dude, that makes me feel so old. Also, on this podcast, apparently on these panels, we only like to talk about movies that are 20 plus years old and that have the green as their accent color. That's kind of our motif, I guess.
So initial thoughts on Shrek. Jenny Rae?
I love Shrek. I loved Shrek as a kid. I still love Shrek. Listen, I know it's not a great movie. It's kind of like we watched it last night again and I was like, man, not a lot happens in this movie. Like it's kind of boring, but like, damn if I don't love that movie. And the soundtrack, like every song on that soundtrack is a bop. Like I had that. I pirated all of those songs from LimeWire. This is the early 2000s, everybody. And like burned it on a CD and just listened to it on repeat. Like I love that soundtrack. Classic.
Now, speaking of the soundtrack,
what Clint? What?
I don't know. Why can't we get away from that song, the Hallelujah song?
Oh yeah, we
yeah.
just talked about that in the Snyder Cut.
The three of us cannot get away from that song. But no, the Smash Mouth song that defines a generation. That song
absolutely does.
That's the anthem of the early 2000s. No, I rewatched it again today, and I was for years just a Shrek. I don't want to say hater, but like I just didn't care for it. And I think at the time, my opinions, a lot of them were influenced by my brothers. Now I love my brothers, but their opinions now compared to what my opinions are, for the different stuff that we would, the different media that we would consume is completely different now. And so I rewatched it and thinking, oh, this movie's just all it's going to be is just a bunch of fart jokes, and that's not clever. It's just, there are a lot of fart jokes. Like there are a lot.
But they're clever though, so it's fine.
Well, the thing is now is like I watch a lot of Bob's Burgers and there's no less than one fart joke per episode and I love them. And so I'm like, what? Look at me, like back in the day, I was like, oh, such a high horse, being like, no, I'm better than Shrek. I've got a higher standard than Shrek. But like, no, I rewatched it again today. The uncanny valley is terrifying, but like, I think it's actually kind of a clever movie, considering that it was produced by Katzenberg, and like all the in jokes that he does against like what we know as a fairy tale movie, specifically Disney, kind of was like a little bit of a subtle middle finger to Disney, which
you are jumping ahead.
I'm sorry, no, I wasn't. In my old age, I'm getting more, philosophical and trying to dig deeper into stuff. Not really. I just did the panel about Power Rangers, which is not philosophical. Well, I guess it can be, but anyway, So as growing up, I didn't care for it. I watched it again. I liked it more, but I'm not going to watch the sequels. Like, I think it just kind of gets out of hand at that point. Although Puss in Boots, voiced by Antonio Banderas, is pretty cool.
Yeah, the sequels get like steadily worse as they go. Like the second one's like, all right. The third one's like, meh. Fourth one, I didn't even bother trying it.
So let's get started down our history rabbit hole here. To start us off, we have to go all the way back to the mid 80s.
That was so long ago.
Yeah, when Walt Disney Company was going bankrupt, Walt Disney's nephew, Roy Disney, hired Michael Eisner as CEO to revive the company, which he really did. He hired a man named Frank Wells as president of the company, and he also brought with him Jeffrey Katzenberg as chairman of Disney Studios, the film division, and he had to revive the animation studio first and foremost. And Roy Disney came out of retirement to be vice chairman of Disney Animation because he felt like he wanted to guide that back to a better place. So Katzenberg truly goes into Disney Animation and he really turns things around. He's very cutthroat guy that's like, you better do what I say or you're fired kind of guy. And he does turn it around. And the first film that he had complete control over was The Little Mermaid, which was Disney's biggest animated movie in 20 years. So it was a big deal. And
so this is the time period that they like to call the Disney Renaissance, because it was like coming out of the dark ages, right?
Exactly. And then right after that, you have Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin and Lion King. Probably their top 4 greatest films ever, right there.
Also known as my childhood.
A lot of people's childhood.
Yeah.
Yep. That's called the Renaissance, the Disney Renaissance, when they recaptured the magic that was lost after Walt Disney's death. And the Renaissance continues. It's kind of Little Mermaid through those movies, and then Hunchback, Pocahontas, Mulan, Hercules, and then ends with Tarzan.
I have to hold on. I got to interject right here for a second, because Ian always gives me crap on the podcast about how I have this big gap in my movie watching history because I only watched weird movies as a kid.
Let's be honest. We both give you crap.
Listen, hold on though. But I'm married to one of you, so I get to call him out. So anyway, last night he admitted to me that he has never seen Pocahontas, Hunchback of Notre Dame, or Hercules.
What?
Not Tarzan.
Okay.
Tarzan.
Oh, Tarzan. I almost flipped a table and walked out of the room. I was like, I don't think we can be married anymore. I'm sorry.
Oh my! I don't think we can be friends anymore.
I know.
That was like the turn of when I was like an adult, going like, I don't want to watch that. That's for girls.
Whatever. I'm just like a year or two your junior, and I guess it just shows difference in personality. Where I was just like, Hercules, I love it.
No, I moved on from there, and which we'll get to why there's that shift in tone in movies that was kind of more my speed. So during this time, Katzenberg, Michael Eisner, and Roy Disney, they're very much not friendly with each other. They're not friends at all. And Frank Wells was the peacekeeper between all of them. He really was the glue, the Ringo Starr of those Beatles. And Katzenberg really wanted all the credit for the resurgence of the studio. which really bothers Roy Disney because obviously Katzenberg made some decisions and helped to guide and stuff, but he didn't write the scripts, he didn't do any of the animation, he didn't direct any of it. So, but he really wants all the credit. And in April of 1994, tragically, Wells dies in a helicopter crash, throwing this all into a chaos because he was the peacekeeper. So Katzenberg, which he's kind of the Littlefinger of Hollywood.
Chaos is a ladder?
Chaos is a ladder, yeah.
Oh, geez.
And he immediately starts trying to get Wells's job, just like right after he died.
Was he doing this? Was he doing this with his fingers?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Hold on. We got to start this conspiracy theory that he caused the helicopter crash.
Oh,
I wasn't gonna go there, but I had jokes brewing up there.
Sorry, I'm bringing it to a dark place tonight.
No, Jenny Ray, you're over there going like, was he over there like totally? It sounds like no, what he was doing, he was wiping off the
blood,
the metaphorical blood.
That's dark.
Look, I'm always scheming. I'm scheming right now on how to take over this show. So
I guess if I call him Littlefinger, that would make sense, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Okay.
Yikes.
But so he wants Wells's job, and Eisner decides not to fill the position and takes on all the duties himself as a total just like screw you, buddy.
Power move.
Yeah, and just like you played your card wrong on this. And that's Katzenberg, like days after Lion King debuts, which is their biggest film ever and remains the highest grossing traditional animated movie. Days after that debuts, he quits. And there's a great documentary about everything we just talked about. It's on Disney Plus right now. It's called Waking Sleeping Beauty. And it tells this whole story.
Oh, it's super good.
Yeah, it's very fascinating. So where that story ends, earlier today, our video for Emperor's New Groove went up, and it tells I continue the story of the Disney Renaissance and how it ended with Emperor's New Groove, along with all the troubles that particular film had.
Yeah.
So it just continues that stretch of it.
Or you could say that they hit their peak with Emperor's New Groove, and then they were just like, we're done. We don't need to make movies anymore for 10 years because we just made the best movie of all time.
Yeah. And
not biased.
I can honestly say that the movies between the Emperor's New Groove and Tangled, I don't think I've seen.
Oh.
Are there even any?
Yeah.
I haven't seen Brother Bear. I haven't seen Dinosaur. I haven't seen Home on the Range. I haven't seen Chicken Little. I did see Meet the Robinsons, though. I did see that.
The fact that you can even name those is like baffling to me. I just assumed they literally stopped making movies for 10 years because Pixar was doing all the heavy lifting. Like they're just like, look, we got this, y'all.
Well, I mean, that was a big problem, right? Because Pixar was definitely everybody was really into what they were doing. Mm-hmm. So where that story goes for Disney, what's the other side of this? Well, 4 months after Katzenberg quit, he founded DreamWorks with Steven Spielberg and a producer named David Geffen. So when you see DreamWorks and you see SKG, that's Spielberg, Katzenberg, Geffen.
You just
little nerd knowledge there.
You just blew my mind.
That's the turducken of film studios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like literally did not know that.
Yes, that's where that comes from. So Katzenberg believes himself the next Walt Disney. He has literally said this. He said, I am the Walt Disney of today. So he immediately gets started on animated films because he's on that high horse, on Littlefinger's high horse, and he's going. He's going to the Iron Throne.
Littlefinger's high horse.
New band name, I call it.
Excellent.
So, and he hired a bunch of Disney's talent to join him in this endeavor, and it poached a lot of those animators, and that was kind of one of the problems with Disney Renaissance as it went down, is because he took a bunch of people with him. And
that's the other thing too, is if you watched a lot of the traditional animation stuff that DreamWorks did, a lot of it people confuse for Disney because the animation and the style, the look looks very similar to what Disney was doing at the time. Like you look
Yeah.
at the road to El Dorado,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spirit, the horse movie. Like,
Yeah. We're going to get to all of those actually.
oh, okay.
So
jumping the gun.
So
The horse movie.
The horse movie.
It's sad I know what you're talking about. I'm like, Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron? Of course, yes, the horse movie.
I literally have a note in my notes that says, "Has anybody actually seen this movie?"
Well,
I will shut this laptop, sir. Just kidding.
Well,
I'm
then
not
it'll
mute.
just be me and
Look,
Clint.
I'm not a big like Spirit stan or anything. I'm just here to hit my microphone.
Okay, so DreamWorks also buys Pacific Data Images, which is PDI for short, going forward. They're a VFX company that did stuff like on Terminator 2. And so they're the people that still exist today. So anytime you see those 3D animated movies by DreamWorks, these are the guys. This is where they got their start. So what are Katzenberg's first films? Okay, so the first one, Prince of Egypt, which was an idea Katzenberg wanted to do with Disney. He wanted to make an animated 10 Commandments, but Eisner didn't want to touch religion for obvious reasons.
yeah.
I mean, look, it's a smart move. I love Prince of Egypt. I love that movie.
Yeah.
And has nothing to do with religion. It's because I loved like Egyptian like culture and like myths and mythology and like stories, those kinds of stories as a kid.
Yeah.
But also I just kind of thought every animated movie was Disney as a kid. So I was just like, oh, Disney made another movie.
Exactly,
I'll go see it.
Because they look the same, right?
No one knows.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, okay, so they have that. And then Katzenberg pitches a story about an oddball ant who doesn't conform to the rest of the ant colony and falls in love with the colony's princess. What does that sound like?
Bug's Life.
And also ants.
And ants.
Yep.
It's the exact same setup.
Jeez.
And he flat out stole that from Pixar because he knew that they were working on it at the time.
Yeah.
Man, what a dick move, man.
Yeah. When he pitches this to DreamWorks, his team, one brave soul goes like, "Hey, isn't that exactly what Pixar is doing right now?" And he says, "No, ours will be better.
Because our ants will have all 6 legs."
They'll be anatomically correct.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, they won't be blue and fanciful. There's not going to be a funny German caterpillar.
There won't be any jokes. It won't be delightful to watch at all. It'll be terrible and real.
Now, listen, this just goes to show like how much Ants is just not a good movie because A, I completely forgot about the movie until you started talking about it. And B, like I loved Bug's Life so much more. And Bug's Life isn't even my favorite Pixar.
It's nobody's favorite Pixar.
Yeah, right, I don't think so. That's why Bug's Land is no longer a thing.
But it is everyone's favorite movie about ants.
Yes.
Probably, yes.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. There's probably some like Planet Earth.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It's
Oh,
got a good
yeah.
ant
Oh
in
shit,
it.
yeah, that's probably everyone's favorite movie about ants.
Well, it's also Ant-Man.
Oh my gosh.
Shit.
This is the big one there. Okay, back
The
on track.
obvious one.
Okay, so, and then he steals another idea, which was a pre-colonial adventure in South America, which is Road to El Dorado. And I allude to this in my video about Emperor's New Groove, which he clearly would have known that they were working on something South America related. So again, he's just stealing these ideas. And then the fourth idea is an adaptation of the children's book, Shrek. Now, I didn't know that this was a book until I was doing the research.
Till today. I didn't know that until today.
I didn't know that until last night when we watched the movie and at the credits it said based on the book Shrek and I went, huh.
Yeah, no idea. No, I didn't. I've seen the movie tons of times. I never saw that title. So blew my mind.
Yeah.
But so Spielberg purchases the rights to the book in 1991. And at the time, he wanted to make it a traditionally animated movie with Bill Murray as Shrek and Steve Martin as a donkey.
Okay. Yes.
Why
Yes.
can't we just have that movie now?
Release the whatever that cut is. Release that cut.
Yeah,
That's how it works, right? Like we just say hashtag release the cut and then like they make the movie, right?
Yeah.
You can't say release the Spielberg cut because then everyone's going to be like, of what?
Yeah.
Release the Spielberg, Murray, Steve Martin
Shrek.
cut.
Yeah.
Shrek cut.
The Martin
new
donkey.
Yeah.
We demand it.
Martin the donkey.
Just like Clint, go tweet at your friend Steve Martin and be like,
Okay.
hey, at Steve Martin, hashtag release the Martin donkey cut. See
Now,
what he says.
Did they probably didn't even do any lines for it. They were just considered for those roles, right?
No. Yeah. So, okay, pre-production starts in 1995. Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio, who wrote the Pirates movies, they spent 3 years back and forth on the script. So much they had written 3,000 pages before leaving.
Whoa.
So for those in the know, don't know, like one page is usually 1 minute of screen time. So that's 3,000 minutes, and it's still shorter than the Snyder cut. But
I was just going to ask that, like, how many hours is 3,000 minutes? I can't do math in my head that fast.
Who's got Siri? One of the viewers who's watching this right now, do the math for us right now. Put it in the comments.
So, like, they went back and forth on this thing forever. And then Joe Stillman comes on, and he was a writer for Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill. So he helped. And then followed by Roger Schulman, who wrote Balto. There's another animated movie
that's about dogs, right?
Yeah, it's about that dog, the
like
Snow Dog?
dogs.
Snow Dog, maybe?
Yeah. Not to be confused with the movie Snow Dogs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The classic. All four of these gentlemen are nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay for Shrek. So it
For
kind of works out well. For Shrek.
Listen.
Yeah, Shrek is a big deal that year.
What? I feel like I need to understand what else came out that year to understand this nomination. And again, huge fan of Shrek. That is not an Oscar-worthy screenplay. Just look, controversial opinion maybe, but I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, that's also like whose work on that one, right?
Yeah. Well, people must have just been afraid of the juggernaut that was DreamWorks at the time, because like that was like a huge hit for them. So
yeah, it was. We'll get to how massive it is.
Maybe it was just based on amount of total pages. They're like, these people wrote in excess of 5,000 pages. That deserves an Oscar.
Well, it's just mind-boggling too. Is that how can you take a children's book and blow it up to 3,000 pages? Like that's just it's at that point.
Well, I mean, it's like 90 pages written over and over and over and over again, right? So
okay, so it's not like
they weren't going for Lord of the Rings, no.
Okay, it's not like they're just doing some like Shrek epic where he's going to Mount Doom. Okay,
no.
You should have just grabbed the eagles from the beginning, Shrek. Jesus.
Okay, so they also have a problem with directors. Directors just keep coming in and out, and one of them is Henry Selick, who just did Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay.
Tim Burton did not direct that movie. It was Henry Selick. Anyway,
yeah, everybody in the world, get it right.
Yeah.
And the film started as a 2D hand-drawn with 3D backgrounds, much like Prince of Egypt. And the idea was much, much darker. It was much a darker story. They originally offered the role of Shrek to Nicolas Cage.
Oh my God.
And
I need to release the Nicolas Cage cut of Shrek too. You guys, there are going to be so many hashtags after this panel. Like I'm just blowing up Twitter with these hashtags.
Right. That movie's called The Croods.
Yeah. No, that's where I found that quote. He was talking about that. He's like, I would rather be like this lovable, weird looking guy versus an ogre. And my kids be like, my dad's an ogre. And that's why I didn't want to do it. I don't know.
It's called acting, Nick Cage. Just
I know.
Listen, bro.
It's called voiceover. Like your face isn't gonna be seen, bro.
So then they get.
But sorry, he was okay with being in Face Off. Just have to put that out there. He's like no to Shrek, but like Face Off.
Con Air. Yeah.
Con Air.
I'm in.
Con Air and Face Off. Yeah.
Wicker Man. Ghost Rider 1 and 2. He's okay with. Shrek.
Now this is just a panel where we list Nick Cage movies. Everybody. for the next 30 minutes.
I love him.
Okay, so they cast Eddie Murphy as Donkey and
Yes.
Chris Farley as Shrek. Okay, so then they start getting to work. And in 97, Andrew Adamson and Kelly Asbury are promoted to co-directors. Asbury was recruited from Disney. He was an assistant director on Nightmare Before Christmas. And Adamson is a technical director for PDI and was the visual effects supervisor for Batman Forever.
Whoa! See?
Call back
You
to
guys.
last year. Bringing it all
Synergy.
together.
Last remote con.
Synergy.
Complete random on that.
Yep.
Awesome.
Let's bring it all back home.
Yeah. During all of this, they are really struggling nailing down the story and especially finding the right tone. The book is all about like accepting who you are, warts and all. And there aren't many movies that tackle that, especially a kids movie, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like a big task for them. They can't quite figure it out. And they're not sure how grotesque they should make Shrek. Like to a point, is he even likable? And if he's not grotesque enough, like why do people not like him? And so they're struggling. And because of all these troubles, the production becomes known as the Gulag, which for those who don't know, forced labor prison camps, as the entire film was considered a waste of time. And if any crew member from the other projects that we've talked about were carrying their weight or they failed at a project or something, they were punished by being Shrek'd.
Oh no!
By being put on a movie. Yeah, and they were being put on a movie that might never get made.
What a bummer!
Wow,
like
this is crazy stuff. Like my brother works for DreamWorks. I should ask him to see if this is still a phrase that they use today.
Clint, what? How? We've had so many conversations and never once in my whole life have you ever told me your brother works for DreamWorks. This is like blowing
insider
my
knowledge.
Mind.
He's the head of story. He's working on Baby Boss 2 right now. So his name is above the line in the credits, the end credits roll, and it says head of story, and that's my brother, and then you get the crawl, then you get the scrolling credits. But yeah, no, he does a lot of stuff for DreamWorks now. So I should ask him, like, do they still call it getting Shrek'd?
Yeah. Well, you're here doing this, so you're doing good too.
Yeah. I can't complain. I'm a star in my own right. I got 2 podcasts, and
we'll put your name above the scroll credits at the end of this panel.
Yeah, right. I'm above the line of the Inquisition Show podcast. Out of the 3 of us, whatever. I'm the grip. I'm the best boy of this production.
Yes, you are the best boy.
Best boy.
Yeah. You guys are doing all the work. I'm just here to show up and crack jokes and have a laugh. Somewhere
out there's a best boy watching this who's just like,
he's
frowning and like folding his arms, like, how dare you, sir?
Look, more power to you. Honestly, I don't even know what a best boy does. No idea.
We don't have time to get into it.
Yeah,
I'll tell you about it later.
Let's talk more about Shrek.
Yeah.
Okay, so December 1997. With 80 to 90% of his lines finished, Chris Farley dies.
Aww.
And a little bit later, if we have time, I'll play a clip. There is a bit of his recorded dialogue, and he plays it cool. He kind of plays it straight. But we'll see if we have time towards the end. So at this point, the project is thrown up in the air because so much of what was happening was based around Farley, and they're not sure what they're going to do now. And Asbury just takes off to direct Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. Has anybody seen this movie?
The horse movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
I forgot it was a thing until I was watching this movie today, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. There's a horse movie.
There's a horse movie. Apparently now it's a Netflix show. I don't know.
That I do not know about.
So they are days away from pulling the plug on the entire movie because they're just like, they can't figure out the story. They can't figure out the tone. And now they lost their star. And Vicky Jensen becomes head of story, and with Adamson goes through everything that they have to finally make a decision and run with it. This is the idea. This is what we're going to do. We're going to go this way. And Katzenberg is impressed by her work and promotes her to co-director. So she's co-director with Adamson. So then they hire Mike Myers as a replacement, and he really starts to soften the character. He's not as mean as mean to Donkey as Farley's version. And Myers came up with the idea of how Shrek likes his own jokes. How he always cracks a joke and loves that.
That is very delightful. And going back to what you were talking about, that feels really Bob's Burgers. Like I feel like that's a very common like kind of dad joke thing where they're just like, I'm hilarious. Also, I do that a lot, so I really
same. Me too.
Like it's just fun that's like what makes him happy.
Yeah. That's what makes me happy. Especially like no one laughs at my jokes. I'm happy when you guys laugh at something that I say, find it funny. I'm like, oh yes, validation.
That's weird. I can't imagine Chris Farley though, like doing like a straight man, like mean role. Like that just feels so.
Yeah, because he's always kind of the lovable doofus.
Yeah. Which like makes sense for Shrek. So if you were like, oh, he was Shrek and he was a lovable doofus, I'd be like, yeah, totally.
Yeah. So with his performance, the animators start to soften Shrek's look as well, because he originally looks like he does in the book, which is really ugly, like really like scraggly, like lots of weird tufts of hair and weird funky teeth, and so they kind of start dialing him back to be at least pleasant to watch. And so you're not just constantly going, whoa, he's really strange looking.
Which is what I think is kind of one of this film's strengths, is because like when you look at the characters, and we do get into some uncanny valley with the humans.
Oh, it's bad. It's bad news.
But Shrek himself, like he looks pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, you can tell that they definitely focused a lot of their like time and attention and energy and like love on Shrek and Donkey, and then like all of the people are just like copy paste, like copy paste animated humans from a student film. It's
and they're very kind of like strange looking and dead eyed and
the dead-eyed
dead skin. They look like walking corpses.
Like the textures are not great.
Yeah, it's very clearly like that was their struggling point. So Myers actually had no idea that Chris Farley was originally cast until 2012. DreamWorks never told him. And he was standing in the studio like, oh, I'm voicing this character. And they had a mold clay, like a clay mold of the version that Chris Farley did. And he's like looking at it going, that looks an awful lot like Chris Farley. Was he originally in this role? And they're like, oh, no idea.
They're all like,
yeah, we didn't kill him either.
Oh, you guys.
Oh, that is dark.
This conspiracy theory Reddit thread of this panel just keeps getting longer and longer.
Oh my goodness.
Were they worried? Were they worried that he like wouldn't do it because were they on SNL?
Together. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe they were like, oh, we can't tell him because then it'll be awkward.
And Friends,
Yeah.
No, it's but beyond the joke, I loved Chris Farley when I was a kid.
Chris Farley is great.
Okay, now also
release the Farley cut.
Okay, well, with Farley, Janine Garofalo was originally Princess Fiona.
Oh my god!
And she was fired, and they never gave her a reason why.
Wow, weird.
She likes to joke that she's like, maybe it's sometimes because I sound like I'm a man.
But if you think about the character of Fiona, her voice actually makes so much more sense. And listen, like, no offense to Cameron Diaz, like we were watching this movie last night and I was kind of like, like her voice, it doesn't really like work. Like she's not a great voice actress. It's very just kind of like, there's a handful of lines that were pretty funny, but for the most part, it was just sort of, you know? But like Janine Garofalo would have elevated it to like a whole other level.
Right.
Yeah.
That'd have been interesting to hear that, to see that version.
Release that cut too. We're sticking all these different cuts.
The
Lots of
Garofalo Farley cut.
So Adamson, who is a New Zealander, Jenny Rae, he was someone Katzenberg thought he could push around because he was really soft-spoken and had mild minorness.
And from New Zealand.
And from New Zealand. But he had been described by other people as having a rock-like will. And so Katzenberg was known for being really intimidating and a control freak. But Adamson was not scared by him. And Katzenberg kind of met his match. And so they're sitting there, they're having this kind of struggle about where the tone of the movie is going to go. Adamson is pushing to make Shrek really crass and adult, the whole movie. And Katzenberg is trying to make it a tame family film. And so they're butting heads, but Adamson is really good at getting Katzenberg to agree with his choices, but their concessions are really strange. Okay, so Adamson wanted to play Guns N' Roses' Welcome to the Jungle when Shrek chases the villagers, and Katzenberg's like, no, I don't. It's like, I don't want the rock and roll on it, and he put the kibosh on it. But Katzenberg let Adamson add the boner joke with Farquaad.
Yeah.
The part where he literally gets a boner while watching The Mirror.
Which is like, that whole scene, I did not remember how creepy that whole scene was and like inappropriate. And there's so many jokes in that movie that I did not get as a kid, but I was just like, no, I don't like it. Like that whole scene where he's just like in his like bed with his like zebra covers with his martini, and he's like, ooh, and I'm much like, like,
show me
the whole
again.
thing is,
yeah.
And even the magic mirror is like making that face. It's like, I don't want to. Like the magic mirror is like not into it.
Well, I remember as a kid laughing at the joke when they get to Duloc and they're doing the small world bit, you know, and they say, mind your, I can't remember the lines, like,
shine your shoes, wipe your
face.
Yeah, like, you know, it's supposed to rhyme with grass and with ass. And so I remember as a kid, like, they almost said ass. But as I was watching this again today, there was another joke that came up from another song that is sung that has a blowjob joke that I didn't even catch until it was the Robin Hood song.
Oh yeah. Getting head. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And as a kid, that completely went over my head, you know. And then I watched it today. And I was like, wait a minute, did they really just sing that? And I had to rewind it and I had to listen to it again. I was like, oh my, this is supposed to be for children.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good thing you can't understand a word that he's saying in the song, or else like kids would be like, wait, what was that, Dad?
Those are the best animated movies, though. The ones that are like, kids are like, that movie was fun, and then parents are like, LOL, there was a dirty joke in there.
Yeah, multiple ones.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then when Donkey almost, you know, when they get back to Duloc and she's like, that's his, you know, like, that's a big palace. He's like, yeah, Shrek thinks he's compensating, you know, for, and then like he, you know, is about to say for, you know, not just his small stature, but maybe for something else.
Yep.
So obviously, like they've landed kind of in between, like Adamson's crass version and Katzenberg's kind of fun family film. Yeah. And I feel like they kind of like between their struggle, they really kind of struck a really kind of good balance.
Mm-hmm.
So
you strike that balance is with fart jokes.
Yeah.
Just throw a couple fat jokes in there. The kids won't be able to tell.
Yeah.
He's the guy from New Zealand, right?
Yeah. Just throw some fat jokes in there and you'll be good. You'll be fine.
So because of this dynamic, Adamson and Jentzsch were really crafted like a focused film, and they really inspired their artists to come up with their own ideas. So they would assign a lead artist to a fairy tale creature and say, come up with as many ideas, like a bunch of ideas, and then you get to record the voices and then animate it.
That's awesome.
So because they had like that ownership to it, they were like, I want it to be like the funniest thing that I can do. And all those animators are the lead. They still voice the characters in the movie, the gingerbread man, Pinocchio, the dwarves. like they all have like those little moments. Those guys got to voice their own characters. So
my favorite bit though is the gingerbread man. He goes, eat me.
Eat me.
It's so dark. Okay, so
Works
hold on.
so well.
Speaking of like super dark stuff in this movie, though, gingerbread man torture scene. Not to mention the fact that like, did you notice that Mama Bear, Farquaad kills Mama Bear, like when it's doing that, like panning across the floor of his bedroom, like in the creepy scene where he gets the boner. Like Mama Bear is the bearskin rug on his floor, and like the rest of the movie, no Mama Bear. And like the next time you see Papa and Baby Bear, like Baby Bear's crying and Papa's like comforting him. Like they straight up murdered Mama Bear in this movie. It is.
How did I not catch that this time
horrifying.
around? That's insane.
Yeah, it's
really
like
dark.
I was just like I had a moment where I was like, I have to like think about what this means for Baby Bear. Like he's growing up without a mom. It's too much. It was a lot.
She's adorning some perv's bedroom.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steam clean that rug so much.
That's some serial killer shit right there.
It really is.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
Oh, and the part at the beginning where Farquaad's like giving money to people for bringing in fairy tale creatures, Geppetto straight up just sells his own son.
Yeah.
Pinocchio's like, but Papa! And he's like, what? 10 gold coins.
Yeah, counting his money.
Yeah.
Dark
stuff.
Well, so getting into the Disney stuff. So, okay, back up a little bit. In 96, Katzenberg sued Disney for unpaid bonuses. And it was like around $250 million or something like that. During this very public trial, because everybody was like, oh my gosh, all these these titans of industry are in a fight. Eisner took the stand, and he confirmed at one point that he did say about Katzenberg, I think I hate that little midget. So this becomes the huge headline because Eisner's like 6'3" and Katzenberg's like 5'4". And
well, okay. That's like the difference in height between you and I, Ian.
Exactly. So Nicole Laporte, she writes in this book, The Men Who Would Be Kings. It's all about DreamWorks, the creation of DreamWorks. And she says Shrek became Katzenberg's giant FU to Disney. So
it feels like it too when you watch it.
You can tell.
Yeah, and so here are kind of the obvious things. Lord Farquaad is clearly meant to look just like Michael Eisner, a lord of over a magical kingdom, and I didn't know this until someone posted this on Twitter the other day. Say the name out loud and really fast.
Lord Farquaad? Lord F-Wad.
Exactly.
Y'all listen. Had to try real hard not to swear on this live stream.
Exactly. And then Katzenberg also insisted that Farquaad be really short, which according to screenwriter Ted Elliott, this was like Katzenberg making fun of himself in some way. Like, because he was the one that was being called a midget. Like, why did he make Eisner a midget? It's kind of weird.
No, I get it, because he's like humiliating him in effigy, right? He's like, oh, you think I'm short? I'm gonna make you super short in animated form forever.
Yeah, like I might be short in like height, stature, but you're like you're small.
And you're overcompensating.
Yeah,
for something. Yep.
Okay, and then you have Duloc, which is obviously meant as a stab as Disney as a whole. The castle is meant to be Disneyland with the small world parts. And then all the fairy tale creatures are all just kind of turned on their head. And we have to kind of realize that all those characters are all public domain characters that Disney's just kind of co-opted.
Right.
And every version of Cinderella and Snow White, we think of the Disney versions of them. Yeah. And this was like a time when they made this movie that they were all like, see, these are freaking weird that these characters exist. Like, kiss this dead broad. What was the line about Snow White?
Oh yeah. From the mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or the dwarves
he
like, we
says-
got to put her somewhere. The bed's taken. It's like, dead broad off the table.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so that's clearly like Katzenberg is like, screw Disney. This is me just getting at them. Okay, so they finally have a rough cut of the movie done, and Mike Myers sees it and says, "I want to redo my entire voice," because he was doing it originally just as his normal voice.
Yeah.
He goes back in the studio, tries it as a Viking like caveman, doesn't work. Tries it as a Canadian, which he is, doesn't work. And then he goes Scottish, and he
Well,
really
because his dad Scottish, right?
Yeah,
So
he has like family members that are Scottish, yeah. And so he's like, it's so easy to go from sad to angry in Scottish. And so he just goes, I want to re-record all of it. And Spielberg sent him a letter that was like, thank you so much for caring about this character so much. And it was truly the right decision.
Oh, that's nice. I thought you were going to say he sent him a letter being like, stop wasting all my money on your stupid voices or something.
If I wanted somebody Scottish, I would have gotten Craig Ferguson. Because
If I
let's be honest, he sounds just like Craig Ferguson.
Yeah, he kind of does. Okay, so Shrek debuts May 18th, 2001, 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. With a budget of $60 million, it made, guesses?
157 million.
I was going to say 120. I want to say at least doubled.
484 million.
Whoa.
It is the second highest grossing film that year domestically, behind Harry Potter, the first Harry Potter movie.
Oh my God, I'm so old.
It is the fourth highest grossing film worldwide, underneath Harry Potter, Fellowship of the Ring, and Monsters, Inc. And it won the first ever Best Animated Film at the Oscars. So that was a brand new category that they just started, and it won against Monsters, Inc. And then, so
I kind of feel like that was just another big FU to Disney,
right? Talk about like Katzenberg's like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, I don't know. Love Shrek. I just feel like that doesn't make any sense that everyone was just like, this movie, like Oscar worthy performances and animation.
Okay, hold on to that thought for 1 second. Okay. So Shrek 2 became at the time the fourth highest grossing film of all time. That's how big the second one was. Shrek, this is the most successful animation franchise in history, above Toy Story.
Wow.
And to go with what you were just saying, Jenny Rae, it's interesting that Shrek was pure counterculture, especially counter Disney culture at the time. It was just throwing in the face of all the different tropes that we've learned. Fiona not becoming a princess at the end, like her normal human self. The fact that she turns into an ogre, like this was kind of big stuff. Like that was kind of changing the game a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The irony, though, is that for every sequel, they became what they were lampooning, and they just became part of the merchandising monopoly that we all live in.
The animation industrial complex, aka the Man. It just became part of the Man.
McDonald's merchandising toys.
Yeah.
So with that, was it worth it?
Yeah, I'm gonna say yes, because for just the pure enjoyment I got from that movie as a kid, and again, I'm gonna mention the soundtrack, just seminal for my experiences as a young person, but also for all the reasons you mentioned, right, where it's like it kind of turned like those types of movies on their head a little bit. Like Fiona wasn't a stereotypical princess character, which was cool and interesting. And like, yeah, the jokes, they kind of like, they marinate and they get funnier as you get older.
Or you grow up and mature and you realize that this joke was really like, about boners.
That's about wieners. Yeah. And then you're just like, I didn't know that as a kid. Anyway, so yeah, I think it was definitely worth it. Sequels? No. Like, just stop it, everybody.
Yeah.
stop making dumb sequels.
Right. I'm going to say yes, it was worth it for all the same reasons that Rae was saying. But at the same time, if you were to erase this movie from the world's consciousness, I don't think anybody would really miss it. At least I wouldn't anyway. Like if all of a sudden, like Q from Star Trek just showed up and just said, "Oh, hey, by the way, I'm going to take every copy of Shrek off of everybody's, hard drive or DVDs, and just you would never be able to see it ever again." But you still have the knowledge of Shrek, I'd be like, okay, that's fine. I would not miss it. But for all the same reasons that Rae said it was worth it, I do agree.
I think you guys have all kind of said, and even Marley said that it's kind of a, like, I actually kind of like it. I'm like, why does anybody want to be ashamed for liking it? I think the first one is actually pretty great. And if you remove the sequels from it, like I love that counterculture to it, because it was so in your face different than any other animated movie you had seen before, and that fact that you can go back to it and see these jokes that you would have never seen, hear these jokes that you would never have gotten as a kid. And I don't agree with Katzenberg's version of trying to fuck you, Disney. Whoops, sorry.
Yeah.
And bleep. Like, I don't agree with that, but I do think that I think that it has a really great place in pop culture, and I think it absolutely deserves to be there. Smash Mouth, no.
Okay.
How dare you? That intro where he kicks the outhouse door open and it's somebody wants to, like, you cannot help but sing that song. I'm sorry.
The irony is that song came out like 2 years before that for Mystery Men. And it was like, by the time Shrek came out, everybody's like, okay, enough of this song. Oh my God.
Yeah.
No, it never gets old.
That's true. I know Ian's like, it was overplayed even then, and I was like, not possible.
No,
not
listen,
possible.
that song just reminds me of driving around on my mom's Mustang as a kid, and that's all she listened to, and she thought it was just the greatest song in the world. I'm like, Mom, you gotta knock it off. You're gonna drive me to an early grave.
I somehow can't imagine your mom driving around in a minivan, like, listening to that.
No, this was her convertible Mustang, my mother.
Oh, I like to picture it as a convertible minivan.
That'd be amazing. We did have several minivans though growing up, so yeah, I do understand where you're coming from.
Oh goodness, that's awesome. You guys, thank you so much for doing this panel. It was a lot of fun hearing from you guys about Shrek. It actually makes me want to go watch it again. And watch Shrek 2, because I actually liked the second one. I thought it was a solid sequel.
The second one's legitimately, like, not bad. Like, the first one actually kind of feels like the story's not finished, and so the second one you're like, oh yeah, I'm getting more of the story. But the third and fourth,
it's no Terminator 2 sequel, but it's definitely that's always my benchmark for a good sequel. Is like, is it Terminator 2 good? Then it's a good sequel.
Do you?
Definitely.
Okay,
There's no other sequels after the second one. Those don't exist.
Yeah, it's true.
Literally saw the third one and immediately forgotten it.
Yeah,
I don't remember a single thing in that movie.
I was gonna ask if you consider The Two Towers to be a sequel, or is it a continuation of the same story?
That's different, because they filmed them all at the same time, so it's one continuous saga.
Semantics.
Oh, you guys, again, thank you so much, and thanks for everyone who watched. We've got another awesome, great round of panels tomorrow night. It's kind of our book night. We're going to be talking about the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown, and then our other panel is all about audiobooks and their narrators. So it's just kind of some fun, different topics, but come check it out. And again, make sure you donate. We are raising money for Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation.
Yes.
And you can donate at givebutter.com/Utah RemoteCon 2. I put the little link there down at the bottom of the screen again. And I'm going to announce the raffle winner for this panel.
Yay.
So
Are you drum roll again?
We have a commission coupon from the artist. Her name is Noob Mama Comics. She's got some really cute stuff, and then also a zipper pouch from Gypsy Sage Design. And the winner for that one is Nicole Bat.
Yay, Nicole!
You guys know her?
We
Yeah.
do.
Yay, awesome. She donated during the panel and ended up
Awesome.
winning. So that's
Yay,
awesome.
Nicole.
So,
That's awesome.
anyways, thanks, guys, and hope you have a good night.
Thank you for having
See you
us.
tomorrow.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you so
Thanks,
much.
everyone. Bye.
That'll do, donkey.